he walked into that restaurant at 16 with holes in his shoes. 10 years later, he owned it. But what happened in between will break you. His name was Jamal. Born in the South Side projects, where gunshots were lullabies. His mother worked 3 jobs just to keep the lights on. His father, gone before Jamal even remembered his face. Every night Jamal heard his mother crying in the next room. Those sounds lit a fire in him. One day he'd give her a reason to smile. That became his promise. School didn't work out. Teachers looked at him like another statistic. He started skipping. The streets were calling. He stood on that corner at 17. One call away from ruining everything. Then his mother said 7 words that changed everything. "Baby, I'm not strong enough to bury you." That hit different. He knew he had to try one more time. Next morning, Jamal saw a help wanted sign, Rosie's Italian Kitchen. Dishwasher needed. He walked in, hands shaking, met the owner, Vincent, old Italian man with kind eyes. "Sir, I need a job. I'll work harder than anyone." Vincent looked at the holes in his shoes, saw the desperation, but also saw fire. "When can you start?" Vincent asked. "Right now." Jamal worked 12 hours that first day. Hands bleeding, back screaming, but he didn't stop. Vincent noticed. This kid was different. When the shift ended, Vincent paid him extra. "You got something special, kid?" Jamal showed up early every day, stayed late every night. After 3 months, Vincent pulled him aside. "You ever cooked before?" Jamal shook his head. "Come here. Let me teach you." Vincent taught him everything. How to make sauce from scratch. How to taste for balance. How to treat customers like family. Jamal absorbed it all like a sponge. This wasn't just a job anymore. This was his future. 6 months and Vincent put Jamal on the line. Real cook position. First night was chaos. Jamal fell behind burned dishes. The head chef yelled. Vincent stepped in. "He's learning. Give him time." 1 year and Jamal became a real line cook. Worked alongside veterans. They didn't respect him at first. Kid from the projects. But Jamal outworked everyone. Slowly, they accepted him. Treated him like family. Jamal brought his first real paycheck home. Handed it to his mother. "This is for you, Mom," she cried. "Baby, this is your money." He shook his head. "You earned this for every tear, every prayer. 2 years in everything changed." Vincent started moving slower, losing weight, looking tired. Then the news came. Cancer. Stage 4. 6 months, maybe. The restaurant started falling apart. Vincent's family wanted to sell the restaurant because his son lived in California and didn't care about the business. And his daughter had 3 kids with no time to run it. So they decided to close Rosie's, sell the building, and move on with their lives. Jamal's heart shattered into 1,000,000 pieces because this place had saved his life, and he could unjust let it die without a fight. So he asked Vincent as son for a meeting and pleaded with him, saying, "Please, let me try to keep it open and let me run it." Vincent's son actually laughed at him and said, "You're just a line cook. You're only 23 years old with no money, no experience, and you're from the projects, man. So what do you really know about running a business?" Those words cut deep into Jamal's soul because they echoed everything he'd been told his whole life. And he begged them to give him 6 months to prove he could do this, but they said no and told him the restaurant was going on the market next month, and the decision was final. Jamal left that meeting completely destroyed and sat in his beat-up car and cried like a baby, because the one place that had believed in him and given him hope was being taken away, and there was nothing he could do about it. But then Vincent's voice echoed in his head saying, "Nobody in this life is going to give you anything. And if you want something, you have to fight for it, until your knuckles bleed." So Jamal wiped his tears and made a decision right there that he was giving up on this dream. That same night, Jamal started researching everything about how to buy a business, how to get loans, how to build credit, and how to write a business plan. And he worked double shifts at another restaurant while saving every single penny he could. He ate nothing but ramen, stopped going out, cut every possible expense, and stayed up all night, every night, watching YouTube videos and reading books from the library, teaching himself accounting, marketing, finance, and management. 3 months passed, and Jamal had managed to save $12,000 and had written a 40-page business plan with projections and strategies. And even though it wasn't nearly enough money, it was a start, and he had a path forward. Then Vincent called him from the hospital with a voice so weak it was barely above a whisper and said, "Come see me. We need to talk." And Jamal's heart dropped because he knew what that meant. Jamal rushed to the hospital, and when he walked into that room, he saw Vincent was a shadow of himself, thin and pale, with machines beeping and tubes everywhere. But somehow his eyes were still strong and full of life. Vincent looked at him and said, "I heard about what you're trying to do, trying to save my restaurant." And then he grabbed his phone and called his son right there and put it on speaker. Vincent's voice suddenly got stronger and firmer as he told his son, "I don't have much time left, and I need you to sell Rosie's to Jamal." And after a long silence, his son said, "Daddy doesn't have the money, and it is not realistic." Vincent cut him off immediately and said, "You're right. He doesn't have money or a degree or connections, but you know what he does have? He has heart, loyalty, and vision. Everything I had when I started and everything you never wanted." Vincent gave his son an ultimatum, saying, "You sell this restaurant to Jamal at a price he can afford with owner financing and low interest, or I'm leaving you out of the will entirely." And after another long, painful silence, his son finally agreed. Vincent looked at Jamal with tears streaming down his face and said, "You remind me of myself when I was young, hungry and fearless and stupid enough to believe. So make Rosie's better than I ever could, and prove that dreams are unjust for the privileged." 3 weeks later, Vincent passed away peacefully, but he had given Jamal something more valuable than money. He had given him a real chance to prove himself and build something meaningful. The legal process took 2 long months of paperwork and inspections and negotiations, but finally Jamal signed the papers for a 20-year loan with payments he could actually afford. And the moment that restaurant officially became his, he stood in the empty dining room and cried tears of joy. He had actually done it against every single odd and every person who said he couldn't. And now he spent the first month deep cleaning everything, repainting walls, fixing broken equipment, and carefully updating the menu while honoring Vincent's legacy. Then Jamal made a bold decision that surprised everyone around him, because he started hiring kids from his old neighborhood, kids who looked just like him with the same hunger, the same desperation, and the same desperate need for someone to believe in them. People questioned his decision, saying, "Jamal, you're taking a huge risk, hiring these kids because they were not experienced and they were not trained." But Jamal just smiled and said, "Neither was I when Vincent hired me, and someone took a chance on me, so now it's my turn to take chances on them." Word spread incredibly fast throughout the city about the kid from the projects who had bought his boss's restaurant and was now giving back to his community and changing lives, and local news stations came to do stories while people started coming from all over. not just for the food, but for the story and for proof that impossible dreams really can come true. The restaurant started booming with lines forming out the door every single night, and reservations booked weeks in advance, and 5-star reviews were pouring in from everywhere, with people raving not just about the incredible food, but about the feeling, the energy, and the love you could literally taste in every single dish. Jamal made it a point to work the floor himself every single night, greeting every customer, personally sharing his story with anyone who wanted to listen, and making absolutely everyone who walked through those doors feel like they were part of his family. And the result was that revenue tripled in the very first year. He paid his employees well, really, well way above minimum wage, with full benefits and genuine respect, because he remembered exactly what it felt like to be broke and desperate and one emergency away from disaster, and he refused to ever let anyone on his team feel that hopeless way. The media attention kept growing and growing, with Food Network reaching out for features, local politicians stopping by for photo ops, and prestigious business schools inviting him to come speak to their students about entrepreneurship and overcoming impossible odds. Jamal stood on those big stages, telling his story about being a kid from the projects who was unsupposed to make it, who beat every single statistic stacked against him, and he always ended his speeches the exact same way by saying, "Your zip code doesn't define your destiny. Your past doesn't determine your future, and what truly defines you is what you choose to do when the entire world tells you that you can't." 2 years into running Rosie's, Jamal made the bold decision to expand and open a second location, and he continued his mission of hiring more kids from struggling neighborhoods just like his, training them with patience, mentoring them with love, and showing them a different path forward, where some eventually went on to culinary school, some opened their own businesses, and some just finally found stability, purpose, and genuine hope for the first time in their lives, every single month without fail. Jamal went back to the projects where he grew up, bringing free food to families who needed it, sitting down with kids who reminded him of his younger self, and showing them through his own living example that the streets aren't the only option, and that there is another way, a harder way and a longer way for sure, but a way that doesn't end in a casket or behind bars. On the night of the second anniversary celebration, Jamal brought his mother to Rosie's and sat her down at the very best table in the house, the same exact table where Vincent used to sit and watch over everything, and he served her himself with a perfect 5-course meal where every single plate was made with pure love and gratitude. His mother looked around at the packed restaurant filled with happy faces and watched her son commanding the room with confidence and grace, and tears just streamed down her face as she said, "Baby, you did it. You really did it." And Jamal sat down right beside her and held her hands, the same hands that had worked 3 jobs to keep him alive, the same hands that had prayed over him every single night. He looked into her eyes and said, "No, Mom, we did it together, because every sacrifice you made, every tear you cried, every prayer you whispered into the darkness. This success is yours just as much as it is mine, and I am just living out the dreams that you planted deep inside of me all those years ago." She hugged him right there in the middle of the crowded restaurant, and customers started clapping, and some even cried because they knew the full story. They understood the struggle, and they recognized that this moment represented so much more than just one person's success. It was an entire community being lifted up. It was hope being restored to a neighborhood that had lost it, and it was living proof that love and hard work really can break any cycle. That night, after everyone had left, and the restaurant was finally empty and quiet, Jamal stood alone in the middle of the dining room and thought about Vincent and his mother and every single person who had believed in him when he did. He don't even believe in himself, and he realized something incredibly powerful about what success truly means. Real successes aren't about how much money you make or how famous you become or even about escaping from where you came from, but it is actually about becoming exactly who you were always meant to be, despite every single thing in this world trying to stop you from getting there. He thought about that scared 16-year-old kid with holes in his shoes who had walked through these very doors desperate for a minimum wage job, never in his wildest dreams imagining that one day he would own this place, build a small empire, change countless lives, and inspire an entire generation. And he realized that hungry kid was still inside him, still fighting, still refusing to quit no matter what. And that's exactly what makes a real champion in this life. It's not about natural talent or privilege or lucky breaks, but about the absolute refusal to let your circumstances define your final destination. The courage to keep believing, even when belief seems completely foolish, and the inner strength to stand back up every single time that life knocks you down hard. Your story isn't over yet, your struggle hasn't been wasted, and your pain actually has a purpose, even if you can't see it right now. Because somewhere out there right now, there's a Vincent waiting to believe in you, there's a chance waiting to be seized with both hands, and there's a dream waiting to be chased with everything you've got. The only real question is, are you hungry enough to fight for it with everything inside you? Are you brave enough to believe in it when nobody else does? And are you strong enough to become it even when the odds are stacked against you? Because Jamal proved beyond any doubt that a kid from the projects can walk in with absolutely nothing and 10 years later own everything. He showed the entire world that your beginning doesn't write your ending, that one person believing in you can change absolutely everything, that one chance seized and honored can create 1,000 more chances for others, and that one promise kept with integrity can inspire an entire generation to dream bigger. Vincent saw that fire burning in Jamal's eyes on that very first day, and he bet everything on it. And that single bet changed everything, not just for Jamal himself, but for every kid he later hired and trained, every family he fed and supported, every person he inspired to keep going, creating this massive ripple effect that continues spreading outward from one chance that was given. Now, Jamal does exactly the same thing every single day, actively looking for kids with holes in their shoes and fire burning in their eyes, the ones that everyone else has already written off and given up on. And he gives them the exact same thing that Vincent gave him all those years ago: a real shot, a genuine chance, and the powerful belief that they actually matter and can make something of themselves. Because real success isn't just about climbing out of the hole you were born into. It's about reaching back down into that hole and pulling others up with you. It's not just about winning for yourself. It's about making absolutely sure that others can win too. And it's not just about surviving against the odds. It's about creating a better world where more and more people can actually thrive. So be someone's Vincent in this life. Give someone their chance when nobody else will. Believe in them when it seems completely foolish and risky. Because you never really know, that kid you choose to believe in today might just change the entire world tomorrow, might inspire a whole generation, and might prove once and for all that impossible is just a word that scared people use. That's the real lesson here. That's Vincent's lasting legacy. And that's what Jamal's incredible story teaches all of us. We all have the power to dramatically change someone's life, to give real hope where there was none, and to believe when absolutely everyone else doubts. And sometimes that's all it takes. Just one person, one real chance, one genuine belief to change absolutely everything forever.